29th of January at 4 p.m. in Huddersfield Town Hall. We've got some members of the public, so welcome. And we've got Tony from the Examiner. Welcome, Tony. Okay, we've got interest. Sorry, before I go to interest, we've got apologies from Councillor Graham Turner, who's at Key Cities in London. He's gone on my behalf, so he's having a good journey down there. I hope it's not really snowing down London. And Muskan's on sick. Okay, any interest, members? No, thank you. Admissions of... Sorry, Kathy. Yeah, my mum is a KNH tenant as well, so thanks, Kathy. Item 3, admission of the public. We've got 3 members of the public who are going to give a deputation. You've got 5 minutes, haven't you? But I'll come on to that when we get into that agenda item. Deputations and petitions. Is this where the members of the public come in? Yeah. So, Mr. Akribat, you've got 5 minutes. Over to you.
Thank you very much. That's it. Right, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, members of the Cabinet. I am here on behalf of mainly the North West Kirklees taxi drivers, mainly private hire. As some of you know me, I'm a Hackney taxi driver, but on 6th of February, we had a meeting in Thornhill. The taxi drivers called a meeting. This is prior to 5-6 years ago. 5-6 meetings were called by myself at Snowden Street Mosque in Batley, and today's subject is mainly to do with the taxi fares, what the taxi drivers charge the customers. And the taxi drivers want a rise equivalent to what the national wage is, which is currently $7.83 per hour, which is going to be, I think, $8.21 in approximately April 2019 this year. So the taxi drivers are regarded as self-employed, but there's been several cases now whereby Uber and many cases, it's called the gig industry, and they've lost the cases. Now, we appreciate that, these are tribunal matters, but we've lobbied Oakwell and Bywell, which are the main firms around here who often buy out a lot of small firms, to see if the taxi drivers would get an equivalent fare, which is the Hackney carriage single time, which we requested, would sort of in the region of the national wage, which is $7.83, would sort of suffice. And we held a meeting which approximately 185 drivers attended. Some didn't sign, so I've got all the signatures here. And this was held on 6th of January, wasn't it? 6th of January at the Brewery Centre Community Centre. And prior to that, there was one held at the PKWA. Now, the taxi drivers feel that they've been neglected and they need the Kirklees Council to step in and do something about it for them. The main reasons are that we keep getting, as soon as the bosses want their ways, they tend to tell us that you're self-employed, but then they are employing us. And there's been several cases where basically it's been proven in the court that this is basically a slave labor. So we need you to solve the problem, and we need the council to take some kind of action. The best one and obvious one would be that if council brought in some kind of a bylaw or some kind of a law which would say that, we'll have to hold your operator's license until you get yourself sorted out. So anyway, protesting and updating and lobbying main cabinet members is one of the things that I was asked to do. As you can appreciate, I usually welcome anybody and everybody that come to Snowden Street Mosque. And this initially was instigated and promoted by a new association, mainly Yusufbai Dawoodji and IBI, etc. And they've been holding meetings, this, that, and other. And they've asked me today to do this deputation, kindly, and you've been kind enough to let us have this. I've got some attendance record, which I can leave it with you. And this man here, on that day, 26th of January, he was the main spokesman. And because he was one of the spokesmen and he people have, as you know, make video recordings. He's been a taxi driver for many years, and he basically ended up getting the sack. And ultimately, because taxi drivers are, I don't like to use the word illiterate, because they're not illiterate, they're very intelligent so far as geographical language is concerned. He got the sack, and that's the sort of the mentality that the bosses have, and they ultimately scare the other people. So if you can be kind enough, can you let him have 1 minute, please? Because I've only got 4 minutes, and I've done my 4 minutes. Can you? No, it's not a personal matter. It's linked to the fact that when we're trying to protest,
Thank you very much, leader of the meeting and rest of the council. Gave me this opportunity to express my view. 2 weeks back, our driver of Okul Rex drivers, and that meeting, when we called by the drivers, they have an issue of this, the rates of what they charge from the customer. But the bosses from the Okul and Rex, every year they put the rent up, but they never put the rates up. 2017, what they did, 250 and second mile, usually they charge £1. They put 10 pence up, make £1.10 second miles. That's 10 pence thrown over face line, and they put the rent £5 more. Plus, they ask us to buy your own phone. We provide you the SIM. Year 2018, they said, no, you got your own SIM now, and your phone as well. 2019, soon as they put the 20 pence up and put £5 rent again. That's not good enough for the taxi driver. I just say so. Whoever attend there, so many drivers were there and they're chatting like this, so we're doing a strike. Either a Aldershot Town Hall, or either a Dewsbury Town Hall, either a Wrexham Okul office. I said to them, no, we're not going to do the strike. We're just going to do a proper manner. There's a law and regulation we got to be followed, which is we did. I said to them, we're going to write the letter. We put our issue or our grievance in the letter, and we asked them to reply back, which is we did. That letter, they received, I think on Monday. They called me Monday morning in the office. There were 5 bosses, asked me many questions, and they said, what issue you have? I said, I have no issue with you anything, but you put the rent every year. I work 8 years in Okul Rex. They put £20 in there. I will start with 65, now it's £87. So the rate is still there, basic rate. Very hard to driver to earn the money, and very donkey hours they use it. 4 o'clock in the morning. Give the example. Certain driver, he start 4 o'clock, he makes so much money. I said, 4 o'clock, anybody start? That's not a way to start at 4 o'clock in the morning. It should be in a proper way. If the rate is right, then driver could earn the money. But no. Next day, they ring me again, one of boss. He said, you are the leader. I said, I'm not the leader. He said, your address in that letter. I said, yeah. We stood there. They asked me if give me anybody address. I said, I gave my address. So what's the difference to give the addresses? Somebody got to put the address on it. So if it's for my address, it's not mean I'm the leader. So he said, I'm hunting for the leader. That's the word he used it. Next, so last 2 weeks back in Saturday, I went, he tried to ring me. I didn't pick the phone up. Went to office, paid the rent, see him. He said, you are no more here. He didn't give, he sacked me. He didn't give me the... Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Akuji, for your deputation. As you know, the Council operates a quasi-judiciary committee licensing. So what we'll do is we'll actually refer this matter to them because they have a legal duty. and they've got a role in law to actually look at the issues that you've raised. And what I would say to you, sir, is it's an individual issue, so I'd get some independent advice, because we don't really address individual issues. So that's what I'd advise you to do. Thank you. Kathy?
Just to pick up on that, gentleman, just to make you aware, this is webcast, it's on the internet, so people are watching it and it's streaming live. Just so it doesn't prejudice your case, you need to be careful if you're taking, any legal advice on that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Akuja, thanks very much.
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, bye.
Okay, member question time. We don't have any members here. Item 7 is the budget. Now, the budget in front of you, members, is usually what we have is we have an officer proposal, and then what each group does is they then go away and then develop their own budget. But because we are in administration and we've got an overall majority, the budget that is in front of you is actually a Labour budget. It's an investment budget, and the focus of the budget is to protect the most vulnerable, invest in our young people, rejuvenate our infrastructure. It's a one-year budget. The reason why it's a one-year budget is because we actually don't know beyond next year what the financial landscape will look like. The budget is looking to increase council tax by 2.99%. Let's just be very, very clear, right? Yeah, over the last 10 years, we've been hit year on year by massive onslaught on local government, and Kirklees has actually lost 60 pence from every pound that it gets from national government. And although Theresa May's government says that austerity has stopped, make no mistake, places like Kirklees will continue to face the brunt of Tory austerity. But having said that, I'm upbeat in terms of this budget. What we're proposing is to protect our most vulnerable, protect services, put money back into older people's services, especially around dementia and people coping with dementia. It also looks at putting major capital resources into our road infrastructure. The highlights of this budget are in the report, members. On the 13th of February, this budget will go to full council, and I hope that all the groups on the council will support this. One thing that is not for negotiation is basically the bottom line in terms of the money that we're going to get into the council. And if other members of the council, other than Labour Party members, want to come and talk to me about this, I'm willing to listen. But it is a budget that is balanced, and it is a budget that's actually put something back into our communities. So I'd like to move the recommendations on page 41. Just point to note under 6.4 in the report, it says 2018/2018. It should read 2018-19, so that's just a typo that we need to correct. But I'd like to present this budget to you, Cabinet, with a view to taking it to full council on the 13th of February. Thank you very much. Thank you, David Sheard. Anybody, any comments? It's going to full council on the 13th of February. Are we okay to approve that, referring to Cabinet? Thank you, members. Item number 8, Cathy. Councillor Cathy Scott, Housing Revenue Account.
Thank you, Chair. This report comes before Cabinet for the approval of a reduction of 1% in the dwelling rents for the years 19 to 20. For garage rents and other services, and an annual uplift to be 3.3% in 1920, with the exception of extra care services, which is the intensive housing management, which we are proposing an increase of 6%, and extra care services nighttime security, which we are proposing an increase of 20.5%. In 2015, the government introduced a new rent setting under the Welfare Reforms Act of 2016 to reduce the rent paid by tenants by 1%. This is the final year when this was for this to happen. On page 3 of your report, it shows you how much rent loss this has affected us on our HRA. In 1920, we were hoping to collecting 90 million in rents, but the actual, because of the reduction, was 79.9 million. That was a loss of income of 10.1 million. Overall, for this 4-year period, the HRA income loss has been 24.3 million, which is very, very significant. Can I refer you to section 6 of this report, which is 6.5.5. Kirklees Council has a 52-week rent year, but this year it falls as a 53-week, and as housing benefit is paid for only 52 weeks, it could force some of our most vulnerable tenants on housing benefits into arrears of 1 week. Amber Rudd, the Department of Works Pension, for the Department of Works Pension Secretary, has acknowledged this, and officers will provide us later if there's an update on any national debate that takes place. Overall, they haven't said they're going to support them tenants, so we're hoping that they do come forward and say they will pay that additional cost. That's another 1.4 million. It's proposing that new tenants will be charged to target rent from April 2019. This will be based on size, value, location and the earnings levels. This is a government-approved base formula, and the average increase is 52 pence per annum per property for the first year. And this is based on quality enhancement, so that it could be, things that are put into the property and the quality standards. The extra care service charges in intensive housing management will increase between £1.29 to £3.29 a week. The nighttime security from £2 to £2.94 a week. The rationale behind this is the higher increase is set in 6.1.3 in this report. There are 140 extra care home flats, 65% of them that are on housing benefit, so the full service cost will be recovered. But this administration actually recognises the impact that this is going to have on our most vulnerable. So to this end, we've decided for those that are not on housing benefit, there will be a discretionary hardship fund for anybody that are within the last 45 extra care tenants and not in receipt of housing benefit. We don't want to see anybody struggle because of these increases and the charges. Some tenants in extra care are not on housing benefit, and as a result might find themselves eligible now, so it'll be a bit of a windfall for them, so they may be able to, get a little bit more income. So today I ask Cabinet to approve this report and direct officers to implement these new changes and these increases, but also issue a 4-week notice letter to all our tenants.
Thank you, Councillor Cassie Scott. Do we have a seconder for that? Peter? Thank you, Peter. You want to say something about that?
Cathy's explained the situation very well. I think it's an example that the consequences of the austerity programme is really like saving from Peter to rob Paul. We happen to be Paul. So on so many accounts, the government arbitrarily tells people they can have a massive subsidy to buy their council houses at our expense. The money forthcoming goes to them. This is robbery, and this is another example. Really, the problem that their savings are not really saving because other parts of the public sector, i.e. us, pay for it, and it's ludicrous. Notwithstanding the other problem, the kind of social problems that Cathy refers to in terms of the problems that many of our tenants who often are poor have got to face.
Thank you, Councillor Peter McBride. Councillor Griff Kendrick.
Thank you, Chair. I recognise that some people may now come into housing benefit categories and be able to claim. I just wonder if any thought's been given in view of some of these are some of our very most vulnerable people who struggle with a lot of everyday things, if there's any thought about whether we're going to look at those individuals and help them make those claims, because I think that would be a really good thing to do.
Yep. I'll bring Councillor David Sheard in, and then I'll bring you in at the end, Councillor Scott. David?
I also want to address the 1% rent reduction. Because as Peter says, that it's just loss of income to maintain houses, but it's a loss of income to subsidise not the tenants or the vast majority of tenants, because the vast majority of tenants are on benefit. So it's a subsidy to the government. So in fact, what the government did is handed itself 10 million from Kirklees in the payment of housing benefits. So it was a really crafty, sneaky, down-handed, twisted decision. And trying to sell it as helping the poorest in the community was absolutely appalling, when all it was doing was handing money back to the Treasury, because we know that the central government have failed miserably in making savings or efficiencies, and have relied on the rest of the public sector by hitting them as hard as possible to pay for their own government failings. So I just think we shouldn't let people think that the 1% reduction in housing rents was to help poor people. It was to help the government, and they were totally cynical about that.
Councillor Scott, do you want to come back in?
In answer to Councillor Kendrick, yes, support will be given to our most vulnerable tenants, and I absolutely agree with you that nobody's to be missing this. That is why this administration has agreed that a discretionary hardship will be done, but it's also about the application process and process it, and I'm assured that all them boxes will be ticked.
Thank you, Councillor Cassie-Scott. So basically, this is a double whammy from the government in terms of making sure that they line their own coffers up at the expense of the most vulnerable in society, because Councillor Shears made a point, and Councillor Peter Bride as well, that the money that would have come in would have actually benefited our council tenants. So that's the bottom line. It's a bit like the police precept. They're forcing police authorities, I should have mentioned this in my earlier report, to raise their precept by £24, but whilst taking away the grant. So it's like giving £1 with one hand and taking away two with the other. But our residents aren't daft right here, so they will see the reality. But that was a really comprehensive report, Councillor Cassie-Scott. You know, it's people-focused, and that's what we're about. So thank you very much. Are we okay to approve that report, members? Thank you very much. Item number 9. Is that Masood? Councillor Masouda?
Thank you, Chair. To request that Cabinet approve the outline details of the Kirklees School funding formula for 2019-20. To know that the changes to school funding arrangements for 1920, the second year of the soft application of the national funding formula leading up to the full introduction of the national funding formula for schools from 2021. Cabinet to know that there's ongoing consultation with schools and other providers to ensure that appropriate local response to the national funding formula development. I'd also like to thank the work that the schools forum members have been doing in terms of their work on this. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Kendrick, do you want to second that?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you. Any members, anyone want to make a comment? Just one comment, Masood. The funding formula, again, this is something that the government's tinkering with, and I suspect that, you know, the funding formula that will actually eventually come out will actually make our residents more poorer, and the money will be shifted to more affluent areas. But are we okay with that report, members? Thank you very much. Item number 10, early support services. Right. We've got a private part at number 12. I'm assuming that we're all okay with that, right? Yeah, so we don't have to go into private session. Okay, members, thank you. Item 10, Councillor Viv Kendrick.
Thank you, Chair. This is a report that seeks to continue early support, although when you first read the title you think we're stopping it. Cabinet approved early support in January 2017 when it was called Early Help for Children, Young People and Families. And we've had 2 contracts with 2 providers providing early support. very, very effectively. Those contracts have been extended to the legal length that they can be. It would not be legal to continue them. And because we are absolutely convinced the effectiveness of early support for children and families, we want to make sure it continues. And this proposal is to bring in-house those workers by TUPE to ensure that we can continue to provide a good and effective service.
Thank you, Councillor Viv Kendrick. Councillor Masud Ahmed, do you want to second this?
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'll second that.
Thank you, members. Are we all okay with that? Thank you. And that's the end of the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for attending and watching. Thank you, Tony.